bit more about that. So like, I think everybody who's probably listening, they're like, oh my gosh, you get to work from home, you get to travel anywhere you want, and you're not, you just need a laptop and a Wi-Fi connection. Oh my gosh, that's the dream. That is what success looks like. But tell us about the day to day. What does that actually look like day to day? What are some of the good things, and then also some of the struggles and the challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the main thing that I learned when I actually did do this was that being a digital nomad wasn't something that I wanted to do after I actually started it, because it did take a lot of effort and energy to be able to do this. That's why I actually call myself location independent rather than a digital nomad, because it does take a lot of energy and time to be able to travel all the time. And the digital nomads that I knew, and when I did try to do it, it was really exhausting. And believe me, there's a lot of people who are able to do it and do it sustainably, and they just really love that, like going from one place to the next. I have friends that do it, and I don't know how on earth they do it. But I learned it takes a lot of effort, right? It needs a lot of planning, especially if you want to be able to work at the same time. Because remember, it's not just about you traveling. You have to also sit down. You have to make sure you're getting your work done, and really focused. So for me, it was having a home base and be able to travel when I want to, not because I had to or because I had to go around. I'm only here for a month and then I have to move myself again. So there's a distinction definitely between the two, being a digital nomad who's constantly traveling and someone who has a home base, but they can still work from anywhere and they choose where they live. So my biggest thing was just learning the differences between the two and really finding what was my balance and what I felt very comfortable with. And also understanding that there is a limit for myself as well. And you think that once you leave your 9 to 5, you don't need to have schedules. You do. Otherwise, you'll just be on your couch all day and doing nothing. So that's the biggest lesson I learned.
I
I
think the
love that.
great thing about what you get to do is that, you just have so many options. You can decide to travel if you want to travel. You can stay a month or you can stay 3 months. You can stay 6 months. Like there isn't just like, the rules of like, traditional day-to-day life when you work a regular W-2 where you only have a small 2-week window every year. If you're lucky, you get a month, to deal with and figure out, okay, how am I going to use this time every year? And I think that's one of it's a challenge because there's so many freedoms. But in that is the stuff that I love, which is that's the place that you really get to go to design your life, as you want it to be. But yeah, I'm excited because I'm about to venture off this year myself. I have 3 kids, and we're going to become location independent folks as well. So we'll have our home base here in San Francisco, and we're going to go off and travel the world as far as we can with everything that's going on. But talk about the challenges. I started planning this like last year, and I can't believe it's only 3 months away, or 4 months away as of we're recording now. But so much goes into it, as you were saying. And especially once you have children as well, there's a lot of considerations when it comes to how are we going to educate them, what is the day going to look like, and all of these things. And so even, I can't even imagine, when you have even more freedoms without kids, how, now you have so much more time to deal with in your day, which, like you said, can get lost and you can end up on your couch if you're not careful. So I love all of that. I'm curious, if anybody out there is like, gosh, this sounds really great. I want to be location independent. I want to, learn about this, and I want to learn how to travel around and whatnot. What types of industries are out there? Like, what kind of jobs are out there that people can do remotely? Like, what are some ideas, and how might somebody learn about this if they're currently in a W-2 job and they're like, this sounds really great, but it sounds like just a dream? What are kind of like the initial things that they might have to considerations that they might have to think about to make that leap?
Absolutely. So the first thing is, I would say, unless you have a lot of savings already, don't jump into this without any plans, because
No,
I've seen it
that's not a good
happen.
idea.
I've seen it happen so many times, and for some people it has worked.
Yeah.
But I think if you just leave your job, go into this, you have no savings, you have no plans, what's going to happen is you're going to have to go back to that day job, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not the worst thing, but if this is something that you want to do sustainably, you want to make sure that you're planning for this lifestyle. Because again, this is a huge milestone and change for your life, and it needs a little bit of work. The second thing is, I would say to really try to do either a side hustle on the side or start applying for remote work before you even leave, maybe a year before, to really see if this is something that's right for you. And I think that's so much more easier right now because there's so many people or so many companies that are hiring for remote work, right? And work that you didn't even think could be remote had to become remote. And it's still that way, even though things are opening up. There's certain companies that actually decided not to do it in person or limiting that. So try it out first before you even go into it, because it could be something you thought you wanted and then you tried it out and it's completely different and you don't want to do it anymore. And the third is learn as many skills as you can, because that could really take you in a lot of different avenues. Really try to figure out what speaks to you, what you enjoy, and you could create income from that. And also take a look at what you are doing now and see if you could transfer that into remote work or a remote business that you can do for yourself, right? I think sometimes we overlook the current skills that we already have and think we have to learn so many other things when you have that in yourself and you've already done it, you know? And another thing that I have found super interesting, you know, a decade ago, 20 years ago, being an artist was considered like you're going to be starving. You're not going to be able to do this sustainably. You're going to be on the street. You know, we're all Asian here. I told my parents I wanted to be an artist, and they're like, are you kidding me? You're going to be on the street. You're going to be poor, and you're going to be asking people for money. So don't
Oh
even
my
think about
gosh.
it. And I find it so interesting that now it's a whole turnaround, because remote work, most people are super creative, and it's the creative people who have really thrived in this environment, right? Because you have writers, you have graphic designers, you have content creators, like, who really bloomed in this type of industry. So if you are thinking that as an artist you can't make money right now, this is the best time to be an artist, because this is our time right now. And obviously there's other factors to it as well, but yeah, make sure that you have all those things, and you're going to be fine.